Discover the incredible moment a CEO's life-changing test revealed a hidden hero in a single dad. Michael worked with the rhythm of a drum. In the morning, he flipped pancakes at the diner, the sizzling batter a temporary refuge from his struggles. At dusk, he trailed a heavy mop across the school floors, picking up the crumbs of busy families where he often felt invisible. He was a single dad in a world that buzzed with affluence, trying to raise his two kids, Mia and Leo, in a vibrant but economically troubled suburb. Every night he tucked them into bed, whispering the virtues of resilience and integrity, even as his own spirit felt bruised by the weight of expectations. The bustling diner was full of life, the clinking of silverware, the laughter of families over steaming plates, but to Michael, it could just as easily have been a vast desert. The affluent patrons often barely glanced at him. He was just the cook, a man who worked, who disappeared into the background. But in his heart was a dream of cooking that stirred like a long-forgotten melody, waiting for the right moment to swell into a symphony. Then came Sarah, the esteemed CEO of a tech company, with a transformative business competition that promised a lifeline. She aimed to revitalize their neighborhood, but amid the wave of hope, Michael's heart sank too. The rich families were abuzz, buzzing only with their vision, as if they couldn't see the very heroes hidden in the shadows of their success. He thought of his dream, a catering business that could lift his family from the grip of uncertainty, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of hope. As his thoughts turned to the competition, Michael began to create small dishes at home, testing flavors that danced together like sparks. With each recipe perfected, with every dish simmering with love, he felt his heart swell. How could Sarah, so entrenched in her tech world, ever believe that a humble cook could craft something worthy? He was met with the subtle scoffs of the elite when he dared to share his ambitions. Those whispers were heavy, like bricks on his shoulders. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The competition began, a swirl of lights and excitement. But Michael felt more like an outsider, squeezing past the guise of wealth that surrounded him. Sarah floated above it all, viewing contestants through the glossy sheen of privilege. She had no idea how rich hardship could be. Just then, the unexpected happened. A powering surge caused a blackout. Chaos erupted. As guests screamed, Sarah stumbled through the din, only to slip, her elegant heel caught beneath her in the chaos. Without thinking, Michael moved through the crowd, determination coursing through his veins. He reached her, his hands steadying her as the room assembled itself again. Their eyes locked for a moment, one a silver shield and the other a mirror reflecting a life of struggle. The moment etched itself in their minds, a jolt of clarity amidst the noise. In that brief exchange, something shifted within Sarah. She began to see past her assumptions and the privilege that colored her vision. That night, as the lights flickered back to life, a new understanding blossomed, a connection that hadn't existed before. But just as hope kindled between them, the competition took a turn that neither could have anticipated, threatening to unravel everything they fought for. Would Michael's dream rise above the invisible barriers of wealth, or was it destined to fade like shadows under the spotlight? As the clock ticked down, both their fates dangled precariously, demanding a choice that could change everything. The next day dawned, bringing with it a sense of urgency that thrummed in Michael's chest like the buzz of a waking city. He prepared mornings for everyone, flipping pancakes, pouring coffee, and watching friends chatter at tables while he served them. But today, he felt the weight of something more pressing than breakfast orders. He clutched an apron-stained notepad filled with sketches of potential dishes for the competition. His ideas simmered like the sauces he experimented with at home, each flavor a reflection of his hopes. When he walked into the diner, Sarah was a striking figure, already seated at a table by the window. She scanned the cafe, her eyes bright yet restless. Today, he thought, today is different. Inspired by their unassuming moment, he felt an unusual courage rise within him. He approached her table, heart pounding with the rhythm of doubt and anticipation. "Good morning, Sarah," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Morning, Michael," she smiled, her posture more relaxed than he had seen the night before. "I was thinking about our conversation. About your catering dream." The acknowledgement sent a surge of warmth through him, yet fear gripped tight as he nodded. "Yeah, it's just a dream. But I won't give up." "You shouldn't. You know, I see something in you that stands out. It's not just the food. It's something deeper." Her tone was sincere, laced with an undertone of challenge. It ignited a flicker of hope. But would she dare to truly see him? As they conversed, Michael found his rhythm, sharing dish ideas, blending flavors that reminded him of family dinners, childhood laughter, and lessons learnt in a humble kitchen. Sarah listened intently, jotting down notes. "I've been thinking," she said, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "What if we integrated stories with the food? People in our community love good food, but they crave connection, too. What if each dish you created could tell a story?" Her suggestion hit him like a thunderclap, staggering but illuminating. "You mean, like a theme for each dish?" he asked, digesting the thought. "Yes. A bond that connects tradition with innovation. Imagine serving a plate that represents the heart of our neighborhood, a canvas of flavor and culture." Her excitement pulsed through him, awakening emotions he deep pushed down. The thought of sharing his roots, his struggles, and his triumphs through food was overwhelming. Could it resonate with others? "Let us do it," he declared, a fire building behind his hesitations. "I want my food to mean something." As they brainstormed, the din of the diner faded away. For the first time, he looked at Sarah not just as a CEO, but as a partner, a catalyst to his dreams. In that sanctuary of shared ideas, every word strengthened the idea that an ordinary man could stir change. But just as the hope thickened, it was interrupted by a sudden tremor of tension. Another contestant overheard their conversation, his voice dripping with derision. "You think a nobody like him can connect with the likes of us?" There was a scoff, a show of privilege that put Michael back in his place. Anger flared in Michael. How dare this man sneer at his ambition? Yet Sarah's hand on his arm steadied him. "Don't listen to him," she whispered. "This is your moment, and I'm here to back you." Resilience surged, pushing him forward despite the mocking laughter swirling around them. The competition was more than just a starlit chance at success. It was becoming a beacon for others who felt invisible, like him. The imagined audience of hopeful faces filled his mind, and then, with resolve igniting his spirit, he declared, "No more hiding in the shadows. I'm ready to show what real passion can create." As the day approached for him to present his dishes, worry intertwined with excitement. The stakes had never felt higher. But Michael was armed with a vision, one that could unify hearts and celebrate the richness of shared stories. As the competition drew near, one question lingered in his mind: could he transform an ordinary dish into an extraordinary moment, bridging divides and inspiring others to embrace the beauty of their own stories? The night before the competition felt heavy with anticipation. Michael paced his tiny apartment, the floorboards creaking beneath him. A single light bulb hung overhead, illuminating the chaos of sketches and grocery lists scattered across the table. Ingredients cluttered his countertop: fresh herbs, vibrant vegetables, and spices that whispered sweet promises of flavor. Each item told a story, not just of cooking, but of a life that had been stirred, shaken, and transformed by his love for food. He glanced down at the sketches, his hands trembling slightly. His heart raced as he recalled Sarah's words. What if his dishes could truly tell a story? The thought defeated his self-doubt, igniting his resolve once more. He was about to step into a spotlight that had once felt so distant, but now shimmered with possibility. Making a decision, he turned to the worn-out stove and began to experiment. He whipped together a spicy roasted tomato sauce that reminded him of his grandmother's garden, the memories of her hands tending to the plants flickering like the flame beneath his pan. Chopping basil, he inhaled the fragrant aroma, letting the warmth of nostalgia embrace him. This was not just preparation, it was an act of love. The following morning, After a restless night, he arrived at the competition venue early. The warm sun spilled over the bustling crowd, contagious energy buzzing in the air. Yet, beneath it all, fear curled like smoke in his chest. He took a deep breath, steadying himself, summoning the courage that had flared up with Sarah's unwavering support. Walking into the kitchen was surreal. It felt like entering a realm where dreams turned tangible. The space echoed with laughter, hushed whispers, and the clatter of metal against metal. Competitors scurried around like bees in a hive, each absorbed in their own creations. He took his place at the station, heart pounding in rhythm with the ticking clock. As he began to cook, memories danced in his mind. Each ingredient echoed laughter, tears, and warmth. He poured himself into the dishes, wanting to bring laughter to others, just as his grandmother had done for him. The first plate, a fusion of comfort and creativity, came together seamlessly. He glanced around, watching the other contestants toss around extravagant ingredients and high-end techniques. Doubt niggled at him again, but he shook it off, grounding himself in his purpose. 5 minutes! The voice boomed through the chaos, and he could feel his heart race. He plated the final dish with a steady hand, drizzling the sauce like a painter reaching the finish line. As he stepped back to admire his creation, he could see the vibrant colors glistening back at him, alive and inviting. "Showtime," he muttered, turning towards the judges, a mix of stern faces and eager smiles. He wiped his palms on his apron, took a deep breath, and approached them. "Today, I'm sharing a dish that's close to my heart," he began. There was a rhythm in his voice, the words had a home. "This represents my journey, my grandmother's garden, and the bonds we form over food." As he explained the inspiration behind each element, he noticed Sarah's eyes gleaming from the side. It wasn't just pride, it was connection. Would they see the story he poured into this dish? With every word, he felt the weight of his self-doubt lift. His passion was palpable, filling the air around him. And just as he began to feel seen and heard, a voice cut through the moment. "What do you know about being a real chef?" Michael's heart sank. The sneering tone came from that same contestant, smirking from across the room. But instead of retreating, a newfound strength surged. This was about more than just him. This was about every person who felt like they didn't belong, every story that deserved to be told. He took a step forward, chest out, ready to claim his space. "I know how to love through my cooking, and that's more than enough to serve a community." As the room fell silent, awaiting his next move, he realized that his journey had just begun. In that moment, he embraced the depths of his own vulnerability. Could this truly be the shift he'd been yearning for? The gauzy veil of fear hung heavier now, but hope flickered in its midst. Would the judges recognize the heart behind the flavors? As he braced for their reactions, an unexpected thought coursed through him. What if this moment was just the beginning of discovering not only his culinary voice but a deeper part of himself, a hidden hero ready to take the leap? Michael stood before the judges, heart racing and adrenaline coursing through him. He could see their eyes flicking from his plate to each other, as they exchanged some hushed words. The tension in the air seemed almost palpable, thickening with each passing second. He wiped his sweaty palms across his apron again, the faint scent of rosemary mixed with anxiety clinging to him like static. "Let us taste it," one of the judges finally said, leaning forward. The old man, with a white goatee and glasses perched on his nose, took the first forkful, bringing it to his lips slowly, deliberately. The room held its breath, a hush falling over the busy kitchen as every contestant paused to listen. "Interesting depth of flavor," the judge murmured, his brow furrowed in thought. "You've paired these elements well." But Michael's heart dropped, the weight of that one word drowning him in anxiety. "But..." He held on to the edge of the counter, knuckles turning white as he gripped the wood. "But I want to know more about the story behind it," the same judge continued, this time looking straight at Michael. "You said it's inspired by your grandmother's garden?" "Yes," Michael replied, his voice steadier than he felt inside. This was his moment to share. "Every ingredient has a memory. The tomatoes were from her backyard, where she taught me how to cook. The basil reminds me of summer afternoons spent with her gathering vegetables, sharing stories. Cooking to her was always about connection. Connection, the judge echoed, seeming to savor the word as if it were a fine wine. The audience of contestants began to murmur among themselves, some nodding in understanding. Michael noted Sarah was among those, her eyes bright with admiration, encouraging him silently. Another judge, a woman with sharp features and a steely gaze, leaned in. "And how do you bring that to your dish? How do we taste this connection?" His heartbeat echoed in his ears. "Food connects us through memories, stories, and experiences. I wanted to create something that feels like a warm hug, something that brings joy. It's about more than flavor, it's about nostalgia and belonging." As he spoke, he felt that flicker of his grandmother's strength behind him. Her laughter filled his memories, pushing him to let go of the fear that gripped him. This was about bringing her spirit into the world, showcasing love and hope through each bite. The judges exchanged glances again, and the older man finally smiled. "You're passionate, and I respect that. But can passion stand up against technical skill? That's what we're here to find out." Michael nodded, ready for that question. "I believe that passion can elevate skill. It's what makes cooking an art, not just a science. Each plate should tell a story, and every chef has their own to share." "Time will tell if you are right," the woman replied, and suddenly the voice over the intercom broke through the tension again. "Next round begins in 5 minutes. Contestants, wrap up." With that call, the chaos resumed. Michael's senses sharpened, banishing the lingering doubts. He had shared his heart, but now there was more to do. He returned to his station and began prepping for the next dish, fueled by adrenaline and a newfound determination. He had stepped out of the shadows, now was the time to make his mark known. But what if his next dish could bring a deeper understanding of his journey? He glanced towards Sarah, who gave him an encouraging nod. This didn't just hold potential for him, it could touch everyone who tasted it. As the clock counted down, Michael could almost feel the weight of his hopes resting on the edge of his blade. With every chop and sizzle, he was constructing not just a meal but an embodiment of his journey. But what if he stumbled, revealing more than intended? Could this round finally unveil the hidden hero within him, ready for the world to see? Michael took a deep breath, inhaling the aromas of spices and fresh ingredients. The kitchen buzzed with frenetic energy as his fellow contestants hurried to prepare their dishes, but he focused on the task ahead. Each slice of onion, every sprinkle of herbs, held significance that he wanted to share. He reached for the parchment paper, ready to weave together not just a meal but a piece of his heart. His mind wandered back to the lessons from his grandmother. She had a knack for creating something beautiful out of simple ingredients. The way she layered flavors, how she turned ordinary days into delicious moments, they were memories he cherished. But this dish was different. He aimed to combine his past with a vision of the future. He chose a tender piece of fish, deciding it would be the centerpiece. As he seasoned it, he recalled her belief that every element should have purpose. She taught him to embrace flaws too, to see beauty in imperfections. Michael let that sentiment guide his hands, mixing in spices like a sprinkle of nostalgia and a dash of hope. The countdown clock ticked closer to 0. He moved fluidly, pouring every ounce of determination into the meal he prepared. Ribbons of squash spiraled into the mix. A rich tomato sauce cooled beside him, an ode to those summers spent harvesting the garden's bounty. Each bite they took should evoke not just taste but emotion. The atmosphere in the kitchen shifted slightly. Michael caught snippets of conversations around him, snippets of nerves and excitement. Sarah's laughter rang out, reminding him of times spent with friends and family, supporting one another through thick and thin. He admired her spirit from a distance and felt a flicker of confidence. They were a community here, striving for the same goal, and yet he couldn't shake the fear that still lingered. What if he failed? A sudden crash echoed from across the hall, drawing startled glances. One competitor had dropped a pot, sending a cascade of liquid splattering everywhere. Competition was fierce, and the pressure was tangible. It fueled his ambition, but at the same time, Michael felt a pang of sympathy for the contestant. He had been there. He would be willing to lend a hand if the situations were reversed. But for now, The clock continued to tick. As the final seconds dwindled, he plated the fish, garnishing it with a fresh basil leaf. His hands trembled both from adrenaline and the weight of expectation. Michael stepped back to admire the dish. Colors popping against the white plate, it sparkled under the kitchen lights. But would they see all he poured into it? Would they connect with the story behind every bite? The intercom crackled once more, announcing the judge's approach. He could see them, silhouettes forming in the doorway, ready to evaluate, ready to taste. Michael's heart pounded again, louder than ever, echoing like a drum in his ears. It all boiled down to this. He had tried to express love, memory, resilience, and connection through food, but was that enough? Time is up! The intercom blared, sending a ripple of urgency through the bustling kitchen. With one last glance at Sarah, her reassuring smile igniting his courage, Michael readied himself. As the judges neared his station, anticipation crackled in the air. What if this was the turning point he never knew he needed? What if his dish could unlock more than just the judges' palates, but something deeper within himself? He took a steadying breath and offered a warm smile. But as the judges approached his plate, he felt a whisper of uncertainty go through him. Would they see the hidden hero he was trying to reveal? The moment the judges leaned in, the kitchen seemed to fade away. Michael's heart raced, the noise surrounding him blurring into a dull roar. He focused on the trio assessing his dish. Each of their faces showed a mix of neutrality and curiosity, and he felt exposed, like a canvas waiting for the first stroke of paint. The first judge, a stern woman with sharp features, picked up the fork. As she took her first bite, Michael's breath caught in his throat. Her eyes flickered. A spark was that appreciation. She swallowed, her expression softening just slightly. "There's a lot of depth here," she began, her voice steady. Depth. That word hung in the air, and for a brief moment, hope flared within him. He glanced at Sarah, who was busy plating her own creation, but she shot him a brief nod. He could feel the weight of support, urging him not to crumble. A second judge, a wiry man with an expressive face, took his turn. As he tasted, his eyebrows raised, and he leaned back slightly, surprised. "Wow, you've really captured the essence of summer in this dish," he said, and Michael felt warmth rush through him. Each word felt like a hug, wrapping around his worries, making room for a glimmer of pride. Then there was the last judge, whose kind eyes moved from the plate to Michael. He took a bite with deliberation. "You've created something here that tells a story," he said thoughtfully. "Your grandmother's influence is clear, and it shines through in every bite." Each compliment was a wave, crashing over his worries, washing them away. Yet there was still that tiny voice in the back of his mind whispering doubts. Would this moment last? Would this recognition evaporate as quickly as it came? The judges conferred among themselves, and they drew away, leaving Michael hanging by a thread of hope. He could feel the tension in the air and wondered how long he could hold on to this fleeting moment of validation. Behind him, Sarah adjusted her own plate, glancing at Michael. "You did great," she whispered, her eyes bright. "I'm just hoping they see what I tried to create," he replied, but even as he spoke, he questioned whether words could truly capture his intent. The judges returned, their expression serious but their eyes shimmering with a hint of excitement. The head judge cleared her throat, and everything fell silent. "Michael, your dish was not only exquisite, but it also conveyed emotions that run deep. We want to take a moment and share why it caught our attention just then." The intercom crackled to life again, cutting through the atmosphere. "Attention, all contestants. We have a surprise announcement." Surprise? Anxiety shot through him. What could this mean? He exchanged glances with Sarah, both of them caught in a web of uncertainty. As the judges continued, Michael's mind raced. With challenges ahead and changes looming, would he step up, or would all of this slip from his grasp? The suspense hung thickly in the air, pointing toward a pivotal moment that could change everything. What surprise awaited them, and how would this contest ultimately shape their destinies? The buzzing of the intercom faded away, leaving a tense silence that was almost unbearable. Michael glanced at Sarah again, her brow furrowed in concentration. The atmosphere felt electric, as if the air was charged with unanswered questions. He tightened his grip on the countertop, the cool surface grounding him. "Ladies and gentlemen," the head judge began, her voice steady but full of authority. "We've decided to change things up this season. After much careful deliberation, we'll be introducing a new challenge that will test not only your culinary skills but your creativity and resilience as well." Michael's heart thudded loudly in his chest. A new challenge? What did that entail? He felt his stomach flip, uncertainty flooding his mind. "The focus will be on collaboration," she continued, "pairing contestants to work together and create something unique." He felt a mix of excitement and dread. Collaboration could either spark the best ideas or lead to disaster. He was grateful for the compliments, but would he maintain that momentum with someone else? Sarah caught his eye just then and smiled, her expression a blend of encouragement and anticipation. "This could be interesting," she whispered. "Imagine what we could come up with." "Yeah, but we're also competing against each other." Sarah shrugged, her determination shining through. "Great chefs know how to elevate each other." The head judge paused a moment, letting her words sink in. "We'll be pairing the contestants at random. Each pair will need to invent a dish that embodies both of their styles. You have 1 hour, and the winning pair will get immunity in the next elimination round." Michael's heart raced again. Immunity? That could change everything. He would do anything to secure a place in the next round. But who would partner with him? As the judge turned to the others, Michael quickly scanned the group. The way they all gathered, brimming with energy and varying expressions of excitement and fear, reminded him of family gatherings. Everyone was there, ready to shine, competing in their own right, but still connected by a common passion. "Now, for our first pairing," the head judge began reading names from the clipboard. Michael held his breath, hoping for someone he could compliment. Sarah's name was called just after his, and he released a relieved breath. As they stepped toward each other, the tension eased, replaced by a spark of shared enthusiasm. "Let us make this count," he said, determination flooding his veins. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, her eyes bright with excitement. Just then, the judge's voice broke through again. "And now, the twist. You both will only have access to a mystery basket of ingredients, which you'll have to turn into something beautiful." The words hung in the air, heavy but thrilling. Michael looked at Sarah, their shared intrigue evident. This was it. A challenge not only of culinary skills but of thinking on their feet, combining their unique styles under pressure. As they moved to the pantry to grab the ingredients, Michael felt both exhilaration and anxiety bubbling in his stomach. Every item they picked spoke of a creative partnership, but would it be enough? The clock started ticking, and adrenaline surged through his veins. "Ready?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let us do this," he replied, feeling the rush of possibility surge through him. But as the seconds slipped away, he couldn't shake the feeling that this moment might define not just their dishes but their entire journey in this contest. Would they rise together, or would they crumble under the pressure? With every choice they made, an unseen tension grew, one that lingered in the air. Would their unique styles mesh to create something extraordinary, or would this new chapter become their undoing? The clock was ticking down, each second amplifying the pressure that hung thick in the air. Michael glanced around the pantry, eyes darting from one ingredient to another. He felt a rush of panic mixed with excitement. They each had to contribute, blending their culinary voices into a single harmonious dish. "What do you think about using the scallops?" Sarah asked, her eyes widening with possibility. "We could sear them perfectly." "Scallops sound great," Michael agreed, thinking about his own style with bold flavors. "And we can pair them with that citrus salsa. The freshness will elevate everything." "Perfect. Let us also pop in some of that saffron I saw. It'll add a whole new depth," she added, enthusiasm lighting her face. Michael felt a surge of confidence as they moved swiftly through the aisles, gathering fresh herbs, vegetables, and spices. As each item landed in their basket, they shared ideas, laughter, and light-hearted challenges. The uncertainty he had felt earlier started to fade. This fusion of their styles was becoming something more than just a competition, it was a snapshot of newfound friendship. As they moved to the cooking station, Sarah's brow furrowed in focus. I want to caramelize the onions for the salsa. It'll take some time but adds such a sweet undertone. Michael nodded, his heart swelling with admiration. Then I'll focus on perfecting the scallops. We need to nail that cook time. Their hands flew over the counters, chopping, sautéing, and mixing in a flurry of movement. Each stir of the pan, each sizzle in the air drew them closer together. He glanced at her, catching the fleeting smile that slipped across her face as she added a hint of chili powder. Look at us go, she said, grinning as she tasted the salsa. This is turning out better than I imagined. Just then, a loud alarm blared, signaling the 10-minute warning. It sent adrenaline coursing through Michael's veins. They both quickened their pace, the room buzzing with the frantic energy of their fellow contestants. He could see heads down, shoulders tense, but with Sarah by his side, he felt a flash of clarity amidst the chaos. Do you think we should plate with a drizzle of balsamic? Sarah suggested, already envisioning their final creation. Absolutely, and maybe some microgreens on top for a fresh pop, he replied, his spirits soaring. With every ingredient they layered into their dish, it grew more vibrant, more alive, a testament to their collaboration. They were no longer just individuals competing, they were a team. As the final seconds raced away, they hurried to plate their creation, their hearts pounding with a mix of hope and anxiety. Here goes nothing, Michael murmured, glancing at Sarah, whose eyes sparkled with the thrill of the moment. They shared a knowing smile, a silent agreement that they had given their all. As they stepped back to present their dish, the head judge scrutinized it carefully. What do we have here? She looked up, a hint of intrigue dancing in her eyes. Something inside Michael fluttered. Had they really done it? Had they created something worthy under such pressure? Scallops with citrus salsa, drizzled with balsamic and garnished with microgreens, Sarah explained, her voice steady despite the overwhelming weight of the moment. The judge nodded slowly, the tension palpable. Michael's heart raced as he held his breath, waiting for what felt like an eternity. Would they pass the test, or would it all crumble here? And then, as the judge took a deep breath, Michael realized this moment could change everything. But would it also reveal something more profound than just their culinary talents? The judge's piercing gaze shifted back and forth between their dish and the two of them, and Michael could feel every beat of his heart echo loudly in his ears. Shadows of doubt crept in. What if the flavors clashed? What if their dish fell flat? He squeezed his palms together, fighting the urge to fidget. Visually, it's stunning, the judge began, slowly breaking the silence, and Michael caught a glimpse of hope in Sarah's eyes. You've done well with the presentation. Thank you, Sarah replied, her voice somehow steady and quivering at the same time. The judge leaned in closer, taking a forkful of their creation. Time seemed to stop as Michael held his breath, his entire focus on that one moment. Would the flavors come together as beautifully as they had imagined? The judge chewed thoughtfully, her brow furrowed in concentration. The scallops are cooked perfectly. They're tender and bursting with flavor. Michael felt a triumphant rush. They had done it. The hours of practice were paying off. And this salsa, the judge continued, it adds a surprising brightness that elevates the whole dish. The sweetness of the caramelized onions balances the acidity beautifully. He couldn't help himself. A wide grin broke free. Beside him, Sarah practically glowed, beaming back at him as if they had won already, no matter the final verdict. But the judge's voice cut through the air, sharpening the moment. I feel there's something missing. Reality crashed down like a heavy wave, and Michael's heart sank. Had they overlooked an essential detail? The judge took another bite, and Michael noticed the slight twitch of her jaw, like she was trying to resolve a puzzle. Just when despair threatened to swallow him whole, she looked up, eyes twinkling. Perhaps just a pinch more salt. Michael chuckled, relief washing over him. He glanced at Sarah, whose laugh lifted the tense air, the sound warm and genuine. Good to know our biggest issue was seasoning, he teased, and together they shared a moment of light-hearted banter, brushing aside the nerves. The judge nodded approvingly. You both have done an impressive job. It's refreshing to see such collaboration. Thank you for sharing your dish. Michael and Sarah's hearts swelled, but amid that euphoria, something unexpected stirred. Was it merely the thrill of the competition, or was the connection they forged through cooking more significant? As they moved back to their station, a stray thought crept in. How much had they each revealed of themselves in this studio kitchen? Do you think they felt our energy? Sarah pondered, wiping her brow as if shaking off the last remnants of tension. Did we shine through? Definitely, Michael said, feeling bold. This wasn't just about cooking, it felt personal. With that realization, he knew they shared something deeper, a bond that flowered in the heat of the moment. The competition was still on, but they weren't just aiming for victory anymore. They were growing as individuals, pulling each other up through anxiety and ambition. As they resumed their tasks, the buzz of the kitchen pulsed around them, but now the clatter and chatter felt different, charged with possibility. Let us keep building on this, Sarah encouraged, her eyes sparkling. No matter the outcome, I want us to create something more than just food. Michael nodded, feeling a warmth bloom in his chest. It was adventurous, new, a thrilling notion of partnership framed by the warm glow of the kitchen. But just when they thought they could relax a bit, the host appeared, calling all contestants for the next round. Get ready, folks. After the break, you'll face your biggest challenge yet. Michael's heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead, the stakes climbing higher. They had bonded, created, and now faced an uncertain horizon. Would they hold on to the connection they forged, or would the pressure pull them apart? Determined smiles exchanged, they rose to confront whatever challenges awaited. The path was set, but what was lurking just around the corner? The energy in the kitchen buzzed like an electric storm. Michael stood at his station, adrenaline mixing with anticipation as whispers filled the air. Would they succeed? Would their collaboration shine through the chaos? After a brief intermission, the host clapped her hands, drawing everyone's attention. Welcome back, contestants. This round will test not just your culinary skills, but your ability to think on your feet and adapt under pressure. She raised a metallic basket overhead. Inside are mystery ingredients that you must incorporate into your existing dish. Michael's heart raced. Mystery ingredients? The challenge loomed ahead, but he glanced at Sarah. Her eyes, lit with excitement, mirrored his thrill. Together, they could tackle anything. Are you ready? Sarah asked, her voice a mix of eagerness and courage. Let us do this. Michael replied, the words tumbling out with conviction. As they hurried to their stations, the basket was opened, revealing an assortment of bright, unusual items, colorful bell peppers, fragrant ginger, and an exotic fruit neither had encountered before. The clock began its relentless countdown, and together they dove into action. Let us blend our styles, Sarah suggested, her fingers deftly chopping the peppers. We can incorporate the ginger into the salsa, give it a kick. Michael nodded, feeling the heat of creativity flow between them. And how about the fruit as a garnish? It'll add a splash of brightness. With each slice and sizzle, they merged their vision's bold tastes with vibrant colors reflecting their spirit. Michael had always been the one to hide in the background, but now he felt alive, thriving amidst this newfound partnership. They created something unique together, a fusion of flavors that echoed the heartbeat of their shared experience. As late moments of the challenge approached, focus intensified. They stirred, tossed, and plated, tension building with each passing second. With Sarah's organizational skill and Michael's passion, they flowed harmoniously, becoming a dance of culinary artistry. Now for the final touch, Sarah said with a determined smile, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes as she drizzled their dish with the spicy ginger salsa. It was time to present their creation to the judges. Michael's heart raced. Together, they called softly to encourage each other. As the judges approached, Michael took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. They presented their dish, a brilliantly vibrant showcase of flavors and colors, like a heartbeat of their journey. This is a representation of not just food, but the stories of our lives, Sarah spoke with confidence, her eyes sparkling with hope. Each ingredient tells a story. Michael's chest swelled as the judges took their first bites. He watched, anticipation tightening his throat. Would they see their effort? The head judge savored the first forkful. Remarkable! You've balanced profound flavors with thoughtful ideas. The surprise of the ginger complements the freshness beautifully, and that fruit garnish. She paused, eyes gleaming with delight. It adds that unexpected twist that elevates the whole dish. Michael almost couldn't believe it. His heart burst at the recognition. They were seen. The second judge chimed in. This plate conveys not just technical prowess, but real soul. Your collaboration shines through. As each judge spoke, Michael's spirit soared. This was not merely about winning, it was about every moment they shared, laughter echoing beneath the kitchen lights. There's one more twist, the host declared, her voice vibrating with excitement. We'll be announcing one winning duo that will take home immunity. But more, you'll gain the support of the community to further your culinary dreams. His heart thundered in his chest. The possibility of winning not only their safety but the chance to nurture their culinary ambitions seemed surreal. As the judges reconvened, whispers of deliberation spread through the room, leaving Michael hanging in suspense. Would they really win? Finally, the head judge stepped forward. After much discussion, we're thrilled to announce the winners of this round, Michael and Sarah. The air erupted in excitement, cheers erupting around them. Michael's heart leapt. They had done it. Their dreams felt real, tangible. In that moment, soaring joy enveloped him. They turned to each other, eyes wide with disbelief, and then burst into laughter. This was bigger than success. It was a connection formed through resilience and passion. As they basked in victory, Sarah beamed. We did it! But more importantly, we did it together. Yes. Together, Michael echoed, feeling a rush of gratitude. This partnership had turned into a friendship, something deeper than either had imagined. As the excitement began to settle, the reality struck him again. The competition would become tougher, but they now had each other to lean on. They had emerged not just as competitors but as allies, forging a path side by side. In the days to come, Michael felt a spark reignite in his heart. No longer was he just a cook working in the shadows. He was on a path to share his story, his flavors, with the world. The lessons learned, the triumphs celebrated. Michael realized it wasn't about the award or fame. It was about connection, about every dish telling its own story to those who tasted it. Just like he had taught Mia and Leo the importance of resilience, they had shown him the power of partnership. As the next challenge awaited them, Michael stood tall, no longer the invisible man in the background. He was a father, a cook, and a friend ready to savor every moment ahead. And as they faced the next hurdle, one thing was clear. Michael was no longer just a single dad. He was the hero of his own life story, writing new chapters every day, one dish at a time. If you felt inspired by this journey of transformation and resilience, now's your chance to be a part of this incredible community. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know how much these actions mean.